On behalf of the Excelsior Springs School District, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Excelsior Springs Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony of 2022. This is the 17th year of hosting this special event, and there's a lot of people that go into making this thing happen. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, I would like to make a special mention to the Excelsior Springs Museum and the Archives. They provide a lot of assistance for these videos you're going to see. Mr. Schaus and Terry, they comb through those things and they make their jobs a whole lot easier. Our committee members are Sherry Hurt, Terri Irons, Darren Marriott, Roger Siegel, Les Odell, Jonah Albertson, Andrea Kramer, Sam Schaus, and Susan Hall, who handles all the banquet activities that we just got done having. If you wish to nominate someone for this Hall of Fame, please contact one of those members and with supporting information to help our jobs as when we vote on it. I would also like to thank the Excelsior Springs School District for their support during this week, the board members, custodial maintenance crews, our principal, Dr. Kristen Everett, district administration, Superintendent Dr. Travis Hucks. Finally, Roger, Susan, Terry, you guys make this night happen. Terry, again with the videos. I know this was a little bit awkward for you this year, but I've seen them, they're amazing. Really, thank you all for everything you do for this. It's a really, really special night. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you, your Master of Ceremonies for tonight, a true tiger in every sense of the word, was a very special friend of ours, Mr. Jesse Hall. Enjoy your night.
Thank you, Joe. Quite an honor. Yesterday they called me. They had 3 others back out. So it's really special what Roger and Joe do. The one thing I asked Joe is I said, no shenanigans. And, you know, I'm a pretty straight guy and I don't like to have any practical jokes. So last time he introduced me, a bunch of my peers and he and Roger, I asked them to come over and be a part of it. Very special night for me. And Joe said, I want to start the night off with a joke. Please welcome Jesse Hall. Yeah, that was really special. I'll tell you about Roger. Back in 2004, about the same situation, they asked me to the quarterback club who we're honoring tonight. A special day for me on Thursday before Saturday. They said, hey, the Grand Marshal's not going to show up. We're going to have you represent us. Is that okay? I said, sure. You know, new kid on the block, that'd be awesome. So I called my mom and dad and everyone, and I said, hey, a little late notice. I know maybe somebody's contacted you before, but I'm going to be the Grand Marshal of the parade. And so they all came, and Roger, my good friend, and John McGovern back there. John called me and he said, you know, Jesse, he said, I'm going to drive you. The reason I'm driving you is there's a very special vehicle, and they only trust the police chief to drive it. And I said, oh, that's awesome. So I'm thinking Westfall, you know, Chuck Anderson, they're getting a big convertible in. So I had candy, I had everything ready to hug kids and do everything possible. So I come to the event, and lo and behold, there's Chief. And I said, where's the car? And he goes, right here. So I got in the back of that squad car, caged. I went through downtown Excelsior, and David Stalder was leading, lock him up, lock him up. So anyway, no respect. I think by the end, my parents were even chanting that, but oh well, no big deal. I was a little nervous yesterday when they contacted me. Susan said, you know you're speaking. I said, yeah, you have any advice? She goes, yeah. She goes, don't be intellectual, don't be witty, and don't be charming. Just be yourself. Oh my gosh. So I asked Tuck tonight, I said, you know I'm speaking? He says, yeah. He said, the good thing is nobody in there knows what you're going to say, and neither do you. So we're all good with that. It is quite an honor. Excelsior Springs has a huge tradition, and I want you to put this in perspective. Over 100 years, 1903, athletics, activities in Excelsior Springs, Missouri. So what you have tonight is a group that is truly the best of the best. And we are so happy to be a part of this and to reminisce and celebrate back with this group. And I would also like to go ahead and, at this time, it's been a rough week for Excelsior Springs. We've lost some true legends. As we have over the past years. Some of those that will go on posthumously tonight, and I can only imagine what it'll be like when we join them again. Until that moment, we'll never forget the differences they provided at Excelsior Springs. Please join me in a moment of remembrance. Rest in peace, my friends. Our first inductees they're perfect at giving back. Whether it's shoes, giving a hug, uniforms, they did it all. And this started in 1946. The differences they have made are unbelievable and limitless. I better get some eyeglasses on here. Tonight, our first group going in is the Excelsior Springs Quarterback Club. Those going in and will be remembered forever on the wall down in the gymnasium: Tim Ashlock, Chad Bishop, Mel Boyer, Shorty Carroll, Red Cazell, Rob Childers, Tate Childs, Marty Clemens, Tom Cox, Bob Craven, Roy Craven, Robert Crow, H.A. Dickey, Barry Duncan, Donnie Duncan, Philip Edwards, Ryan Flusmeyer, John Flusmeyer, David Glenn, Dean Greim, Ben Hankins, Dennis Hartman, Gary Hewitt, Brett Jones, Brian Kelly, Kevin King, Steve Kistner, Patty Kistner, Cecil Lamb, Glenn Lewis, Sammy Love, Jim Lowry, Jim Lyman, Warren McDermott, Don McDermott, Bob Moberly, Ray Pettigrew, Raymond Dale, Mike Robertson, Jeremy Romazan, Amanda Romazan, Rodney Runkles, Melvin Siegel, Roger Siegel, Kim Siegel, Drake Siegel, Bill Taylor, H.S. Thompson, Benny Ward, Bill Ware, Gary Wilhite, Butch Wilkins, Bugs Williams, Donna Williams, Bill Williams, Derek Willamets, Carrie Woods, Todd Jennings, Rick Holman. Let's take a look back in a video tribute to the Quarterback Club.
1946, a man by the name of Dr. Norris Patterson, our superintendent of schools, H.S. Thompson, was in the Navy as a commander, and he met Patterson in St. Louis. Patterson was a Missouri Valley graduate down at Marshall, and he hired Patterson to coach football here while they were both still in the Navy. And so Patterson came here then in 1946, and he instituted a football program here. And like I say, Excelsior Springs hadn't been doing very well for several years. And the first year Dr. Patterson was here, they had some moderate success. And in that year, they formed the Quarterback Club. And the first president, and probably one, as near as I can find out, one of the prime movers in establishing the Quarterback Club was H.S. Thompson, who this school, or I'm sorry, not H.S. Thompson, but Glenn Lewis. This school is named after Glenn Lewis. Some other fellows involved in starting the quarterback club at that time was Chick Gardner and Dean Grimes. You fellows know the two Grime drugstores here. Those are sons of Dean Grimes. And Raymond Snackdale has the real estate business here, and if you play golf, any of you yet, why, his son's up at the golf course. And Judd Palmer, you may have seen Judd's name on the front of the community center. Now there was many others, but these were probably some of the prime movers in starting the quarterback club. But the quarterback club cost $1 to belong. And they dedicated themselves to the promotion of athletics in Excelsior Springs. That very simply was their creed, and that's the way they promoted themselves. And then in 1948, they were again 10-0, and so we had a 20-0 record, and I think a bunch of fellows said, hey, we don't want to quit playing. We got this good ball team, we want to see them play again. So they came up with the Mineral Water Bowl. And back at that time, didn't have a lot of rules and regulations, and so it wasn't too hard to get a bowl game put together. And they picked Thanksgiving Day weekend to have it. Well, they played the first bowl game, like I say, in '48 with Mexico, Missouri. And HA's has a program here. And a fellow by the name of Payne Muir was the coach. This is back in my era, so I can remember first names. You want the HA to hold these up, Sam? Yeah. And we were a bunch of fellows that had a good time being together, and we worked hard at putting this bowl game on, but we enjoyed it. And I was secretary one year, this particular year, and we voted to have a night football game. We thought we could get a bigger crowd. And like I say, I was secretary, and so tickets were all printed, and we were ready to go. And lo and behold, they had another meeting, and Benny Ward was there, and Benny Ward, they wanted to change it back to a day game. Well, we couldn't do that. But they wanted to vote on it, so they voted. And they actually voted 9-8 to have a day game, but I was keeping score. And I transposed the figures and told them that they voted 9-8 to have the night game, and I never told them about 2 or 3 years later that I had messed the figures around on them so that we could keep it a night football game. First ball game we were involved in, remember they'd had the trouble with the ball team, and we were just tickled to death when we had signed 2 good ball teams to play. And we were new at putting it on, and we were rocking and rolling. We had the ball teams, and they were going to bring the bands, and gee, we were really tickled and happy. And we got out and sold enough tickets that we were guaranteed a financial success. And lo and behold, we got ready to go, and somebody said, did you get the footballs? I said, what footballs? I said, did you get the footballs? Where do you get the footballs? I said, well, Wilson Sporting Goods will furnish the football. Somebody said, yeah, and I suppose we're going to have to get the yard markers and the chains out. We had the football teams coming, and everything was lined up, but we hadn't bothered to get any footballs, and we hadn't made any arrangements to mark the field and put the sideline markers out. So we were real adept at that time in bowl game expertise. We had a membership of about 300 and some people. It cost $1, as I said, to belong. We would sell, I think one year we was up around 400 members. This gave us a lot of clout in the community. It gave us a lot of prestige in the community, because even people who didn't like football, like, well, I'm a member of the quarterback club.
It takes a village to raise a child, and they led the village. They continue to do it. This time it's my pleasure and honor to induct the Excelsior Springs Quarterback Club into the 2022 Hall of Fame. All members that are present, would you please come to the stage? Sadly, the gentleman that you witnessed that was giving us the tutorial, Bugs Williams, we lost this week. We keep him in our memories, but I realize he and others are with us tonight. We want to get a picture over there too, Roger. Friends, feel free to come forward and take any pictures that you would like.
Why don't you lay down in front? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yay, quarterback club.
Well, thank you.
Can't imagine the volunteer hours. Let's give one more round of applause to the Excelsior Springs Quarterback Club. Our next inductee, I had the best seat in the house to watch, and she made me look awfully good. Kristi Curry was simply amazing. Coach Tuck used to look at me after we would score our first run when she was pitching and say, "Game over." And boy, was that true. Her teammates described her as tenacious, intense, determined, scary good, especially when she rocked on the bench. Humble and simply the best. Let's take a look back at Kristi Curry.
This is the rhythm of the night, oh yeah, the rhythm of the night. This is the rhythm of my life, oh yeah, the rhythm of my life. You can put some joy
Opaw, Kristi Curry Wilson. You know, when the Curry girls came around, Heather and Kristi, you took softball in Excelsior Springs to another level. We're so proud of you and your family. Who would have ever thought a .29 ERA over 4 years? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's induction, number 2, welcome Kristi Curry Wilson. Those that want to get a picture, we'll do a picture first, and then Kristi will give us a speech.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the honor tonight. I especially want to thank Coach Hall, who was my high school coach for all 4 years, as well as Coach Tuck. As I was reading through the program today, I had not realized until tonight that Mr. Schaus was the president of our Hall of Fame. So I did, while I was up here, wanted to call him out as well. For me, I think the biggest achievement for me going into softball was my 6th grade year, and it was actually running the mile. Mr. Schaus was my gym teacher at the time, and I think that first year I cut like 2.5 minutes off my mile time, and it was the first time that I really felt, 1, proud of an athletic achievement of my own, and 2, really felt that I had a teacher, a coach there who was really proud of the work that I had done. Especially because I wasn't such a good runner. And then I will have to say today, it is probably my favorite pastime, and that started at an early age because of how much effort he put into teaching me something new, and I hate to say it, but forcing me to do something I didn't want to do. But then it turned out it was one of the best things that could have happened. But I also want to take this time to not only thank my coaches, Coach Hall, Coach Tuck, Mr. Schaus, but probably where I see the most gratitude, and that comes back to my family. As all of you know, we're never going to be successful in any type of sport, in life in general, without the support of your family members. So for me, I was very lucky. I had my mother, who I will say probably does not have the amazing athletic talent that other family members had, but she was there for us every single day, went to every practice, went to every game. And as Coach Hall pointed out, it wasn't just me. My sister Heather is here, and she was only a year older. So all that time, my parents had to be split, and they never missed a game, never missed anything, and we're always so happy to be there, or at least that was the impression we were given. That being said, because my sister is definitely in high school, we were the Curry girls, and we were both pitchers. I really want to take this time, too, to kind of recognize the fact that I am the younger sister. And growing up, my sister was everything I wanted to be. She was smart, she was beautiful, athletic. And for me, it's one of my mom's favorite stories. I went the first 5 years of my softball playing career without winning a game. So I was like 0 for 60. And when you're 0 for 60, it's not that much fun. So I actually quit playing, and then my sister went out, and she started playing on a team called Winning Ways and continued to be everything I wanted to be. And I saw her go out and be successful pitching, and then I decided, I want to be just like her, so of course I'm going to follow in her footsteps. And if you don't know my sister, she is probably the kindest person you will ever meet. And that started at a very young age and has continued through adulthood. So she always holds herself with the kind of kindness and grace that we can only hope to emulate. So I've always had that support from her. She came tonight when, not all siblings would want to, but my sister and my brother both came. So I appreciate that. And then lastly, and I'm saving it for last because probably the most important person in my softball playing career was my father. Unfortunately, he did pass away back in February, but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge everything he did for me growing up and playing softball through my entire career, because he was that man who worked the overnight shift. Sorry if I get a little teary-eyed. He passed away recently, but he is the man that worked the overnight shift and then still got up, took me to practice. And if you're a pitcher, you don't just practice with the team, you have pitching practice, you have everything else. So he was there every day, probably got 2-3 hours of sleep, I don't know, every night for 15 years. We were actually just joking earlier today about the fact that I broke his leg 2 different times, but he still came back and he still caught for me. And I think that when you have somebody that loves you that much and you have that just unimaginable love, that unimaginable grief comes with it. So I do definitely want to let everyone know he was an amazing man. He did everything for us, my sister and I both. And honestly, I don't think we could have ever achieved anything that we achieved if he had not been there with us. So other than that, thank you all for voting for me from the Hall of Fame team. Thank you, Coach Hall, for being here and being the MC tonight, because I was a little nervous coming in, so I was very excited to see it was going to be Coach Hall. And thank you for everybody who came tonight. Thank you.
Wow, that's hard to follow. Kristi, Heather, the Curry family, kindness and grace is what you're all about, and we're so happy that the Tiger family had the Curry family, and congratulations on the induction to the entire Curry family. Our next nominee needs no introduction. She's simply the legend. She's who we all wanted to be. Terri Irons. Players and coaches reflected by calling Terri fun, spectacular, rare, generous, humorous, community-minded, steady, and reliable. They stated she took competitiveness and fight in us and elevated it. I was so proud to play for her. She is one of a kind. Let's take a look back at Coach Terri Irons.
Now what if I told you my city was the best, and my city was a threat to the rest? And my city was a threat to the rest.
This city is my city, and I love it. Yeah, I love it. I was born and raised here. I got it made here, and if I have my way, I'm gonna stay. Every corner, to every block, yeah. Whether it's warm or storming, downright stupid hot, hot. From the problems all the way to the solutions, yeah. Forget all the drugs and gangs, corruption and pollution. No, 'cause this city is my city, and I love it. Yeah, I love it. I was born and raised here. I got it made here, and if I have my way, I'm gonna stay here for life. 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 For life.
Now what if I told you my city was the best, and my city was a threat to the rest? But you can't rest inside my city. My city's so cold if you ain't dressed. And what they accept, I had a right address. Parts of my city, certain colors can't step. And sadly, I'm talking about the color of your skin. Sorry, my brother can't let you in, 'cause the property value might go down to a level that's economically unacceptable and socially taboo for us to live around you, huh? Is this what it's down to? Root for the same team, they had the same dream, not the same reality. Actually, mine's is a bad education and gentrification. Despite all the above, I love
This city is my city, and I love it, love it, love it. I was born and raised here. I got it made here, and if I have my way, I'm gonna stay here.
Thank God this city is her city. Ladies and gentlemen, next induction, Coach Terri Irons.
Wow, that was really loud. Sorry about that. All right, so here's my speech notes. I've done this for 17 years, and I live in fear every time somebody walks up here without a plan because they start rambling, and then it goes on and on and on forever, and I end up texting people in the crowd saying, get the hook, get them out. So I'm going to try really hard not to be that guy tonight, but I did shimmy myself into some spanks tonight, so I am going to talk. You're going to hear a few things. But I also, as I watched that video, which yes, as Joe mentioned, I awkwardly had to put together myself. Thanks, committee. I'm reminded of why my grandmother didn't like to be in pictures, because all you do is see how cruel the aging process is. But it was nice to see what my original hair color was. I do want to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I've been, one of the million things that Jesse has drugged me into over the years is the Hall of Fame committee, and it was very kind of them to throw me a bone and say, you've been around long enough, we're going to let you in. But I also think it's a very special night because as we celebrate the 50th year of Title IX, I'm really proud that there are 3 women going in this year, so I'm very excited about that. I'd like to thank for all those women who didn't have the opportunities that we've had to be in competition and that came before us, that we kind of, we represent those people, all the people that my mom went to school with that didn't have these opportunities. I'm proud to be representing them, and we've come a long way. There's still a long way to go, but I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Several people that I need to thank. I'm going to start with the 10,000 assistant coaches that I've had through the years. It just seemed like, you know, when you're coaching high school sports, people come and go, but I've been so blessed to have so many outstanding assistant coaches, way too many to name, but without that teamwork and that effort that they put in, the things that I asked them to do, none of this would be possible. There's no way that I could be here. And the head coach gets the credit and the blame for successes and failures in a program, but it truly is a team effort. And when I first started coaching, my very first year, when Jesse Hall decided that it was in his infinite wisdom to make me a head coach, I had to go to Bill Tuck. I don't know if Bill remembers this, and I said, how do you feel about working for a woman? Because if you know Bill, might be a bit of a struggle. And then I thought later, I'm like, what's the difference? He's going to be coaching girls. It's just one more chick bossing him around. So why did that even matter? But I'd also, I want to thank, I know my 2 most recent assistant coaches, Jessica and Allison, are here. And what a fantastic way to end my career. I've built unbelievable friendships through coaching, and those are 2 of my best assets, and I'm grateful to them. I also would be remiss if I didn't recognize, even though I give him a hard time, Jesse and Don Roberts. I think they had a plan for me well before I had a plan for myself when they coaxed me back from Pleasant Hill to be a coach and get me in the program. I am grateful to Jesse. He's always seen something in me that I don't really understand, but or maybe he just saw a sucker who didn't know how to say no to anything. I don't know which. But his mentorship and friendship has been one of my life's greatest gifts, and I greatly appreciate that. I also want to recognize the people in the activities office who have been my support through the years, and it's really strange to say it, but through basically really 29 years of coaching, 3 people were in that office. Started with Bonnie Casto, then Roger came in, and then Susan Hall. So if ever I've had an example of loyalty and commitment, I've been surrounded by some incredible people, and I'm grateful to them for being so good to me and always helping me, doing whatever I asked and whatever I needed. They were always there to provide those things. I also want to make mention of Donna Williams. Donna was my middle school PE teacher, and whatever she did made me think, I want to do that. And she was my 8th grade and 9th grade volleyball coach, and I thought, I want to do that. And so I'm very grateful to her, and I know we lost Bugs this week, and there's a million stories we could tell about Bugs, but the example that so many people in this community have set for me has been outstanding, and I don't want to leave them out. Next is my family. If you know me, you probably know that I am the loud one, always out front, always being seen. But behind me, propping me up at all times, are my 2 biggest fans, my mom and my sister. And then Tina went and got a really good guy, Lance. Way to go, make me look bad. But they have supported my teams through our successes, through our lean years. They've listened to me complain, probably at some point every year threatened to quit, offered encouragement, had straight talk when I needed to hear it, and pushed me, all the while content to remain in the background and prop me up and be hidden in my very often too big shadow. And that prevents people from seeing just how tremendous they are. And I am truly blessed to have experienced such love in my life. And I know the kids that I've worked with through the years, when I first started teaching, I didn't understand why everybody didn't have what I had. And I'm sorry that there are so many kids that don't, but I've always had that support. Beyond that immediate group of people in my life, I need to thank my grandparents and my dad. Always the example of, Dad gave me the competitive spirit. He probably had the too big shadow too. He was the voice, and Mom was always behind him as well. But my grandparents, both sides, showed me love and a work ethic. My dad's parents were the model of how to be involved in your community, and so I didn't know any other way. And in a nutshell, without getting emotional, I've been blessed. Coaching high school sports is a unique adventure, and you're tasked with building a team from a pool of people that basically only have one thing in common. They all live in the same area. And you have to pull those kids together and build a team from that. And it doesn't happen by accident. A high school coach's success is a result of years, as Kristi mentioned, years of painstaking practice with parents and fellow parents, groups, pods of parents all working together to build those teams. And I had someone the other day ask me they wanted to know my worst story of a crazy parent. And in all my years of coaching, and it's funny, I'm sure at the time there were a million stories that I had to tell, some psychopath that I thought was losing their ever-loving mind, and I was just, what is wrong with these people? But now that I'm a couple of years removed from it, those aren't the things that I think about at all, and I'm grateful for the parents that put in that time, because it is a process. And as a coach, if you currently have a child that's in a program, as a coach, one of the hardest things to do is to get parents to release those kids to you. And I was blessed to have so many parents that, while they built them up and handed them over to me, still said, we're going to trust you with our kids. And that's their greatest possession, your most prized possession, and you want to see them succeed. But spending all that time for so many years with your kid and then just turning them over to some stranger to hopefully help them continue to grow is one of the most difficult things. And when I look back at it, even though there were times when I was very frustrated, I was so lucky to have so many people that were willing to release their kids to me and let me build them and hopefully find a new role model and a way to see outside of just that small little piece. So coaching has been one of my greatest joys. Even though it wasn't always easy, it's always been rewarding. My last big thank you has to go to all those young women that I've coached. For 29 years in coaching, I was blessed to coach what I always said were the absolute best people in our school. There was never a doubt in my mind, and if they showed me a little piece that maybe was going to give me doubt, we were going to fix it, because my expectation was that they were the best of what we had to offer. And without those players, there is no coaching career. There is no tonight. It doesn't happen. So thank you, ladies. You sometimes kept me up at night worried because I didn't know what was going on in your world when you were away from here. But you let me in your life. You let me mother you once in a while. You let me be your friend. And when I asked, you were willing to run through walls for me. And those relationships that I built are so special to me now. I've attended weddings and baby showers, and those are the things that I look back at my career. It's not the individual games, it's not the achievements of the numbers, the stats. It's those relationships that I built with those special women, and I hope when they look back, they see a woman who empowered them and pushed them, and hopefully they gained something from our programs and what we were trying to do. It's hard when I look back at my career and think maybe I underachieved a little bit, because when you come right out of the chute with a state championship, you've only got one way to go. But when I think about all of those wonderful years, I could go on and on. I could tell story after story about games and events and all of those things, but I'm going to save some of those stories for reminiscing over cocktails at the golf course later, when we can laugh and enjoy it. In closing, I am completely humbled by this. I've been a part of this for 17 years, and it is a big deal. It is an honor. To be recognized by your community is a very special thing. And I have been mentored by some of the most amazing people in this community, in this town, and been supported by everyone. And I know my friends like to call me the mayor, because every time we go to Walmart or a restaurant, I see people that I know, and that's the best part of living here. It can be the best and the worst if you look like garbage and you go to Walmart and run into everybody, but it's also great to see so many faces and people that I know, and to have your body of work recognized is a very special thing. I don't feel worthy, but I'm proud of my career and so blessed by all that it's given me. So many relationships that I cherish, and my heart is very full. Thank you, I'm very grateful.
Let me assure you, you are worthy, and you have not underachieved. Let's give Terri another round of applause. Pretty amazing Excelsior graduate. Both of them we've heard tonight have been spectacular. I think you can tell that the classroom they did not shy away from, nor did Kristal Reeves. She provided so many highlights in her career. Who will ever forget the shot heard around the world, the home run to place us in the championship game? I was standing next to a student in the stands, and he said, "Holy sh-" I said, "Don't worry about it. I agree. Her coaches stated she instilled confidence in all of us. They went on to say she was determined, genuine, family first. Hardest worker I have ever coached. Set a role model for all around. She was committed, led the group with grace, and never ever said no. Her family is here tonight, and that is so special. Ladies and gentlemen, the next induction into the Hall of Fame of 2022, coach, player, Kristal Reeves.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up.
You are indeed a champion. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 Next Hall of Fame inductee, Kristal Reeves.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Those of you who know me know that I'm much more of a doer, and so I would be much more comfortable in front of my classroom or playing on the field or spending time coaching my girls, but I'm going to do my best here tonight to speak with you on something that I'm very passionate about. I want to take some time to congratulate all of those who are here tonight being recognized and honored for the things that they did while in this building. It's not something that's easy, and so it's something that I think should be recognized. A lot of time and effort goes into making each team and club that you're a part of successful, and so I just want to take the time to congratulate everyone that's here tonight. That absolutely has to follow the legendary T.I., one of the most influential people in my life as a teacher and as a coach. You know, she is the mayor. We hope she's the mayor because she really has had a tremendous impact on all the women in this building, and for that I'm truly grateful. I also want to thank the entire Excelsior Springs community. When I thought about what I wanted to talk about tonight, it just kept coming back to one thing, that I truly feel blessed to have been given the opportunity to be a Tiger. And that is something that as I have grown older and started to raise my own kids, that I continue to realize has truly been a gift in my life and will continue to be a gift in the life of my family. I have encountered a lot of different coaches and a lot of different teammates and a lot of different teachers in my life, but they all come back to this community, and forever be grateful for that. One of the best memories of that is just coming back on the road trip home from the state championship game, windows down on the bus singing, "We Are the Champions," and then realizing that despite the fact that it was really late at night on a school night, that the community was here to receive us and welcome us home. I've got an entire fan club down front. You know, they were here as well as all of my teammates' families, and it truly just makes you remember what's important about the things that we do. To Coach Godsey, somebody who influenced me from the time that I was in elementary basketball playing for the teams that she put together with her high school athletes. I am forever grateful for the passion that she had. I still can hear the clank of her dress shoes on the gym floor, whether it was for a good reason or maybe it was to get our attention. She has more fire and passion in her than anybody I've ever witnessed in my life. And that drove me more than she'll probably ever know. To my teammates, I will forever be grateful for meeting and experiencing both softball and basketball with them. They are still to this day some of my closest friends, and when I come across those that I'm not as close with, it feels like yesterday to see them and to talk about some of the experiences that we had on the field. Something, again, that I am forever grateful for. This is a night that I never really saw coming, but when I thought about what I wanted to say, it just came back to the people. And so I know that I'm being quite repetitive with that, but it really is, this is my town, this is my family. I'm thankful for my parents who, now as a mom, I realize how exhausted you must have been. The countless nights in the driveway, the extra practice at home, the driving me to and from sporting events, sometimes multiple times in the day, changing uniforms in the car. My brother, 3 years younger, tagging along every step of the way, but then also sharing the support of that family when we were going in two different directions. To my grandparents and my aunts and uncles who were also there all the time. To my Aunt Kendra, who always from the crowd was yelling, 52! To the crazy silly hats that they wore at the games. To the unyielding support that they offered, whether we had won or lost the game. I'm just forever grateful for the things that they offered. Lastly, I would just like to thank the student athletes that were here tonight helping out in the Commons. I truly believe that they are our future. It's fun to work with them every single day of the school year, something that's sneaking up on us next week. But I'm super excited to someday be sitting in the stands, the chairs, myself, wishing them all on, cheering them on as they receive this kind of honor. You are next. 22 years later, I'm still a Tiger. I plan to be a Tiger till I retire. I plan to grow old here because this is the best place to be. Thank you.
I don't think Dr. Everett's going to let you go, so you've just signed a lifetime contract. Congratulations, Kristal. Sammy Triplett goes in next. Unfortunately, Sammy was unable to be here tonight. Accepting Sammy's award on his behalf is Mr. Joe Greim, and he will say a few words about Mr. Sammy Triplett.
So as a member of the wrestling community here in Excelsior Springs, it's quite the privilege to accept this honor on Sammy's behalf. Sammy Triplett was class of 1965 here in Excelsior Springs, and wrestling started in 61 here, so he was pretty early on. He was state runner-up in 64, state champion in 65, and hearing talk and Coach Paducki talk about wrestling back then, there wasn't a whole lot of success on this side of the state. I mean, everything was pretty much dominated. Sammy was one of the first, he was the first homegrown state champion for Excelsior Springs. He's why there's been several teams inducted, several individuals inducted, another group of teams going in tonight. They kind of, people like Sammy set the standard for what Tiger wrestling is and is supposed to be. A couple stories, I've talked to some people. Sammy lived in Rayville, and every day after practice, Sammy would put his sweats on and he would run back home to Rayville. Didn't drive a car, didn't do anything. So every day after practice in the middle of winter, that's quite a haul up East End Hill all the way out to Rayville. Served him well, I think. Sammy was also a Vietnam vet, so appreciate his service to the country. But really one of the great ones, one of the foundations of Excelsior Springs Wrestling. So thank you, Sammy.
Wow, I get tired driving up East End Hill. Let's give another round of applause for Sammy Triplett. What a great job. Our next group, simply amazing what they have turned out to be. And I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to say next is from the one and only philosopher Tuck. When you have talent in the room like that, they just feed off of each other. We had plenty of knockdown, drag-out fights like a bunch of caged animals in practice. I would not be surprised if at the golf course tonight we didn't have a few of those. These guys are simply amazing. 89 to 92. Our next inductees into the Excelsior Springs Hall of Fame, the Excelsior Springs wrestling team. You can see their accomplishments up here. Let's take a look back. Kevin Klein earlier today. What's up, guys? It's Klein. Who's ready to do this thing? I copied Tuck, even though last time I checked, he doesn't text. You guys did this thing. Congratulations, 89-92 state wrestling team. Come on down and get your Hall of Fame induction.
Before Bill talks, there's several people not here. I'm just going to go through the list of all the team members from 89 to 92. Kevin Klein was a member of 89, 90, 91, and 92 state teams. Don Bills, 1989, 1990. John Reamer, 1989. Joe Greim, 1989, 1990. Pat Nichols, 1989, 1990, 1991. Matt Amick, 1989. Paul Brundage, 1989. Scott Hendricks, 1989. Scott Simpson, 1990, 1991. Terry Creer, 1990, 1991. Travis Poindexter, 1990. Jason Clark, 1990, 1991, 1992. Roger Ofield, 1991, 1992. Shane Miller, 1991, 1992. Chris Markham, 1992. Brock Nessa, 1992. And Chris Campbell, 1992.
I will not tell stories because you can't. Some of the things that we did, I'm not sure you get by with now. Matter of fact, I'm pretty much for sure you can't. They are going to tell you sometime about the different things that I did to them, and it's true. I did. Our practice room was extremely difficult. I told them when they came in that in this program here, the expectation is very simple. You win. And the only way I know to win is to work. There is no other way. So when we got in there, there were knockdown, drag-out fights, blood, everything else. But that's what it takes to get there where you want to get. And the one thing that all four of these teams had in common was they didn't want to lose. They knew what was expected of them once they stepped in that room, and they were willing to put up with whatever I had them do. And sometimes I know it looked crazy, but that's what they did. And I know with the other athletes in softball or basketball, it's the same way. Maybe they don't have the fights we have, but at least the work ethic is there. And even though I would say we had disagreements sometimes, and we had conversations sometimes, I always won. I told them that we ran a completely, everybody had a vote and I had one more. So whatever they wanted to do was okay as long as I agreed, and after a while we figured it out. But that's what it takes. You're not going to agree all the time. You are going to have difficulties. And I used to tell their parents, there's a big difference between you and me. You love them, I like them. And you see them in a little different eye. And when I'm sitting there, I'm trying to push them to some place they don't want to go. Anybody that wants to say they go to practice and they love practicing is an idiot. Because the only time that you have fun is when you win. And winning breeds winning. That's what it is. And during those years when they did all of this, that's what it was about. We had a drill that we did in practice where you would go out and we'd do takedowns. You got to stay as long as you won. The only way you got off the mat is if you got beat. And you want to see some fights go on, watch that. Because their nature was, I'm not going to lose. I don't care. I will not lose. And that's what it takes. So I'd like to thank them. I know I probably didn't all the time when I should have, but hey, it's the way it goes. But I do appreciate all the work. I would like to mention that there's a couple that aren't here because they've passed away. John Rimmer was one, and John, I know his daughter's here, was a great wrestler. And it's sad that he's gone on, and then Scott Simpson is another one. And, you know, I miss some of them every day because of things that they did, even though, again, we didn't always agree, I can tell you that. But the work ethic that those kids had was unbelievable. I would like to thank the other inductees. Yes, girl power, you got it. So, it's the sign of the times. There's nothing I can do about it. But I do want to thank, because I know Kristi and Kristal, you deserved it. You were great players, and I loved watching you. So thank you to the board members, you guys. I know we're probably going to see each other a little later. Don't listen to the police reports or anything tonight. Just let them go. Everything will be okay. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys. Just one little, if I could get one favor from you all. I had most of you in the middle school, but I called and the Oates bus is through running, so somebody please get Tuck back home. What a great night. It is a privilege to be here. I think you all witnessed some very humble people. And for our young friends in the audience, it was a great lesson in humility. I think it is a lost art, but it's not difficult to practice. It means that you realize that others have been involved in your success, and that's what you witnessed tonight. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. It's not about me, it's about we. It's about family. It's about together we are better. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is, when I first came here, somebody told me that Excelsior Springs athletics is not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a relay. I challenge you to pass the torch to the next group, because believe me, they need you. There's so many ways you can give back. Once again, let's give another round of applause to tonight's inductees. There's a reception tonight at the golf course, also past inductees as well as tonight's inductees. We'd love to get a picture of you in the comments. Once a Tiger, always a Tiger. Thank you so much.